thank you for being here. We're excited to share with the public that last night our board passed 8-1 the first reading of the FY26 budget, which is a $915 ask. We're excited that it features top employee pay. We'll raise pay, particularly for our classroom educators. We're increasing the amount of weighted student funding at our schools to approximately $36 million. We're expanding employee daycare next year to Mount Pleasant, and our ask for kaleidoscope or after-school rates for our teachers is going to be lessened due to the thoughtful planning of our finance team. I'm going to turn it over to Daniel Prentice, our CFO, to talk a little bit about the budget and its implications and our work with the board through it. Mr. Prentice.
Good morning. Very thankful to the support of the Board of Trustees and our staff that put together the budget for first reading yesterday evening. So as you saw again, as Ms. Huggins indicated, the first reading was adopted 8-1 by the Board of Trustees. So what we're looking at this point is going back to our Audit and Finance Committee meeting in May for them to review and ask any questions before we make a recommendation for second reading to the board, and then bringing it back for second reading and a public hearing as required under state law in May to have final approval. What's unique about that, typically in the past, the budget has been final approved by the board in June, and if this process works the way that it's intended, we would have our budget approved a month earlier than normal, which would give us a tremendous amount of time for implementation and planning with our staff over the summer to get this budget into production. Again, as Ms. Huggins mentioned, $915 million general operating fund, over a $1.7 billion budget inclusive of all of our special revenue and capital appropriations, which includes our sales tax and our fixed cost of ownership program, which includes a $65,000 base pay for teachers, a 3% increase across all cells of our classified scale, along with steps for all of our employees, and $4,000 across all other cells on the teacher pay scale for our certified staff. So very excited about this budget plan. As indicated in discussions thus far, it does not include a millage increase, so we're balancing the budget on current appropriations and projections for revenue, and appreciate all the support from our partners with Charleston County and with the Department of Education to allow us to have this information in place at this point in the process to be able to make a confident recommendation to the board. Thank you.
Last night, we also shared with our Board of Trustees and with the viewing public that we're quickly approaching state testing, and it's important for parents to be their children's biggest encouragers. Our educators are working diligently in our schools with students, utilizing real-time data to make quick course corrections if needed, but they've spent all year preparing, so we're excited about the opportunity students will have to demonstrate their readiness in the coming weeks. We've deployed our central staff with many of the leaders here. Ms. Simmons out just this morning out at Pepper Hill, supporting teachers and students, either providing coverage, pulling small groups, or doing whatever it takes to meet the needs of all of our students. Given such, we've just wrapped up the school choice window. I'm going to share with you a few numbers for the public here that this year, welcome, we're glad you're here, that this year we had a record-breaking 12,845 individual applications submitted by about 6,100 students across the district, 6,086 to be very specific. Applications to the Academic Magnet High School, which is one of the leading high schools in the nation, rose to 622 for grades 9 through 11, with 51% of applicants eligible for consideration, which is an increase from the 24-25 school choice cycle of 49%. Also, Buist Academy experienced growth, receiving 769 applications for grades 3 through 8, compared to 694 from last year. We've sped this process up this year to be more efficient for our families and schools as the school choice windows has now closed. We're also thrilled to share that last night we put forward numbers regarding community engagement. That's really important to me as the leader of this system. We have such a diverse community. I'm hearing from folks from the interfaith community, from our business community, and very specifically from our students, has been critical to shaping the decisions that went into the $915 million GOF budget. And again, as Mr. Prentice stated, over $1 billion as we work to improve student outcomes here in the Charleston County School District. The last thing I want to highlight is that last night I did get word that Governor McMaster signed into law Bill 4014, which absolves the constituent boards here in the Charleston County School District. And I'm thankful for great leaders like Dr. Shavonna Coakley standing here alongside me and Ms. Vanessa Denny, who will work with principals to bring forward on May 12th to the Committee of the Whole our plans for assuming the associated duties of the constituent board, which, as you know, consists of drawing attendance lines, which Mr. Baroe and his team makes recommendations on annually to constituent boards and then to the Board of Trustees as necessary, managing disciplinary referrals that come through Dr. Coakley's team with the Department of School Support, and then handling student transfer appeals, which is also handled through Robin Jones and Dr. Coakley's office specifically. And so we're in the process of formalizing our plans to assume those duties to ensure that community continues to be well engaged, that families have an opportunity to be part of the process, and so that opportunities for all children are fair, equitable across our system without disruption. So with that, we're certainly open to any questions you might have as we work together during this exciting time of the year and we prepare ourselves for graduation and other celebrations related to end of year and the welcoming of summertime. Yes, ma'am, please.
Just wanted to ask a few follow-up questions to the constituent board
Please.
subject. Knowing that you guys are working on a formalized plan, there were a few board members in last night's meeting who were just talking about their concerns. One of them mentioning that the district would now be responsible for more than 600 discipline cases within business hours as opposed to the meetings that were in place before. Some of them were also mentioning that they're concerned about the boots on the ground approach being not as close as it was with the constituent boards being eliminated. So what would you have to say to those board members or those constituents who are raising those concerns?
I really appreciate the opportunity to respond to those thoughts that were shared by some sitting constituent board members last night during public comments. We very much value the nearly 60 elected officials who have served this district and its children faithfully, many of them for over a decade, some of them more recently. So we want to make sure families understand that our role in this will not be to exclude them whatsoever, to be prohibitive in our inclusion of them. Many districts, in fact, most districts across South Carolina, conduct hearings solely during the school day. That's not necessarily our intent at all. Again, we want to engage with families and engage them in the process because we know that when families are part of the solution and the problem-solving process in an efforts to continually improve the system and how we work with their children have a better chance of being successful. And so we've not finalized any decisions regarding that whatsoever. We do anticipate actually that the process will be more efficient, that we'll be able to address the concerns more rapidly, get children back in school so that they're in front of teachers learning in a more rapid pace than we've been able to do so in the past. And we do expect, again, we're working with principals to make thoughtful recommendations that will engage community members as part of hearing panels that will actually hear specifically disciplinary requests or appeals. In many districts across South Carolina and across the nation, these hearings are conducted by one person. We are not going to propose that. We do believe there's power in consensus and diverse thoughts, and so we plan to talk to our board about our plan to engage in a panel-like approach. Again, that's not exclusive of parents and parental voice at all, but instead includes them and at a more rapid rate than maybe we've been able to do so in the past due to the systemic nature of the constituent board setup.
Can I ask another follow-up?
Please do.
Might be related to something with the financial office. But
Sure.
do we know at this moment how much it'll impact the financial sector for the district?
We do believe we have an estimation of budgetary implications. Mr. Prentice, do you want to speak more to that? It is subject to change based on the final recommendations from principals and the final plan to the board, but we don't expect to lose funding or to go into a deficit as a result of the abolition or the abolishment, of the boards. Mr. Prentice?
As this was coming together and we understood that the the General Assembly could pass the bill prior to second reading of the FY26 budget, we had a plan in place to be able to add additional hearing officer staff for FY26, but net of the cost of the constituent boards in their current form would yield over a $300,000 savings. So we are now working based on this being signed into law to implement that plan, and second reading of the budget will include all of those changes. Thank you.
Morning, Anita.
Yes,
so
sir.
if you don't have Mimi here in town, or and Mommy's day out doesn't cut it, you're looking at $20 an hour for childcare. I thought I heard you say that you guys are going to be offering some childcare to employees in Mount Pleasant. That sounds like a big deal.
Thanks so much for that question. We believe it is a big deal. We've gotten a lot of positive feedback from principals and teachers who have shared that our efforts, and other employees that have shared that our efforts to expand employee daycare has been beneficial to them. It's allowed some working mothers and fathers to return to the classroom, in fact, and we have this already established in North Charleston, downtown on the peninsula, West Ashley, and will be expanding next year over to Mount Pleasant. Mr. Burrow and his team have worked with Kim Foxworth in our expanded learning to make plans, and Mr. Prentice and the CFO team, in the financial office, they've worked to budget this in the proposal for the FY26 budget, so we're excited to see it come to fruition. Other feedback that we've gotten, Bob, about the need for daycare, it also exists after school. So we have teachers who have children who are school age, and they need a place for them to go after school because the demands of educators don't end at 2:30 or 3:30 when students walk out the door. And so Mr. Burrow, thankfully, and his team have worked again with the CFO and our finance team to ensure a budgetary line item that allows for a reduced cost to employees whose children stay with us after school in Kaleidoscope. Last night at the board meeting, we celebrated the educators and non-educators who staff our Kaleidoscope centers. They're very beneficial members of our team. I, as a working mother, had all three of my children in Kaleidoscope at one point when they were young. I miss the days that they were young. And we invite those who are at home taking care of their children now, who are educators, to consider coming back to work because we're again thinking about how we make conditions best for our employees, which includes not only pay but opportunities like this.
Can you talk a little more? I came in a little late. I apologize.
No worries.
About the budget as it pertains to teachers and some of the other positives that they're going to see out of this budget.
We certainly can. I want to thank Bill Brigman, who has been the leader of our teacher compensation task force, who has really led the work around teacher compensation and improving employee pay over time. So I'm going to ask him to come up with the support of Mr. Prentice. But again, it's just a really great question in that we believe teachers are best supported when they have what they need. And so we think, one, the weighted student funding not only supports children, but it supports educators' efforts inside of the classroom by, in some instances, providing wraparound supports for kids that they need, in some instances providing smaller class sizes, and or for allowing resources that they might not have had prior to augment student learning, which we believe, one, makes teaching easier. Two, the employee daycare that Bob just asked about, our goal is to expand that to all of the geographical areas here in Charleston. Again, we've seen that be productive. In fact, North Charleston has asked us for another center over in North Charleston, West Ashley, and on the peninsula. And due to the facility availability, we'll be expanding that next year over to Mount Pleasant. And then the Kaleidoscope also, we believe, supports teachers and their efforts to really give back to children. We've also included in the budget opportunities for more planning for teachers. We have professional development budgeted in this year's budget, but I know most people are incredibly excited about the opportunity to continue paying teachers and other employees as professionals. So I'll turn it over to Bill to talk a little bit more about his work and with support from Daniel as needed. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Anita. So this budget for 2026, for all staff, as Anita said, we're definitely seeing a pay increase and continuing to be competitive for all positions, all of our teammates across the district. Specifically for teacher pay, we're really excited that our first-year teachers starting new in the profession will come in to a salary right at $65,000. It's like $64,782, I believe, is the exact amount for a bachelor's degree first-year teacher. So really excited about that because in addition to that starting salary, which allows us to continue to be the highest paying district in South Carolina, we're definitely attracting not only new teachers to the profession, but we're also attracting a lot of veteran, more experienced teachers, as our data is showing for the last 2 years as we've continued to increase teacher pay. So for all of our current teachers, they will see a $4,000 increase to the schedule all the way out to step 40, as well as a step. So we're just excited about what we can do for our teachers. For all other staff members, we're continuing to maintain what we call the market value of positions. So that includes a cost of living adjustment as well as a step. And our non-teachers currently, the highest step on the schedule is step 33. The plan is to go to step 35 with the goal of continuing to step 40 over time. So really excited that we can really be competitive in what we offer all of our staff, all of our employees.
Just shifting the subject a little bit, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about Baptist Hill. Some
Yeah,
concerns
please.
I have about enrollment. Can you just talk about how the district's hoping to address that and if it's something that would be feasible into the fall or the spring of this coming school year?
It's a great question. So last night, a few public speakers from out in the Hollywood-Ravenel area did come, and I'm thankful for them. I'm grateful that they came to share their voice and their perspective on the work we're doing out in Baptist Hill. Very specifically, about a month and a half ago, I announced that we would be separating Baptist Middle from Baptist High School, which are currently situated on the same campus. And we appointed a principal there, longtime veteran, respected educator Kevin Smith, who currently serves at C.E. Williams South over in West Ashley, agreed at my request to transition. He's an expert, we believe, in middle school education, has a track record for improving student outcomes, and he agreed to passionately lead the work out at Baptist Hill Middle, where he's found himself several evenings over the course of my last request to become part of that community. What we heard from the community last night is they really want the district to prioritize moving the middle school campus from the high school campus to either R.D. Schroeder, which was closed back probably 10, 15 years ago, and or Blaney, where the CAO, Ms. Simmons, actually served as the last principal. We certainly have that on our radar. It's not something that we believe is feasible for August of 2025. It takes about 18 months to plan a move like that and to do it thoughtfully so that it serves children well. In the last budget review of what it would take to outfit R.D. Schroeder, about 5 years ago, the cost was approximately $20 million. We believe it'd be significantly more than that now, given that we haven't done any upgrading to those facilities over the course of the last 5 years since we got that estimate. We will continue to prioritize student safety on that campus, working with Mr. Smith and now interim Principal Drayton to ensure that those campuses are separate. Specifically for instruction, Dr. Coakley has spent a good bit of time out there herself. But when there is an opportunity for kids to commingle, if that opportunity exists, that there are sufficient adults on that campus to ensure separation. We believe that there are common spaces, obviously, where that might be opportune for kids, specifically the cafeteria, the gym, the media center. But again, we're dedicated to ensure that those students, middle and high school, stay separated to the greatest possible extent that we can. Again, we're not ignoring the concerns from the community at all. They're thoughts that we've taken into consideration and things that are certainly on our radar, but it's important to us to do things well and to make sure that students have a facility to attend and in which to learn that is done well for them, and that's comparable to other facilities across this district, and we just would not be able to get that done prior to August. And we appreciate the community's patience with us, with the knowledge that we're working on it, and it's on our list. Thank you.
Anita, with school almost out, you know, summertime comes along, we all want to play and so on and so forth, but there's new research out that really highlights the difference between students that get read to by their parents. Teachers notice a difference. Teachers know who's being read to and who's not. They know who's reading aloud at home to their mom and dad and who's not. We can't say it enough. Take a minute to urge parents to read to their kids every day and have their kids read back to them.
I think you should come here and say that right now yourself. You are employed, you're all hired, and Bob, you are going to inspire other folks to read to their kids, because yes, you are right. What research tells us, but more importantly, what real-time data here in the Charleston County School District suggests to us is that kids who are thoughtfully engaged in literacy and to whom their parents read and engage with them in written and spoken communication achieve more. Data tells us that all day, every day. So as parents anticipate summertime, it's important for them to know how to thoughtfully engage with their children. And what's as important is if parents need help with that, they shouldn't be embarrassed to ask. That's our job here in the Charleston County School District. They can reach directly out to me for support that they might need at home. Mrs. Simmons and Dr. Clamp, their teams are commissioned to do just that work. Mrs. Denny and Dr. Coakley lead community engagement events. We can plan events in communities, with churches, with thought partners. The community is an ecosystem of support for its children. And our children will only achieve to levels commensurate with their God-given ability when together we work together to ensure they can. So if parents are listening to me now and they have trouble reading, if they don't have books in their home, if they don't have access to folks and resources that can lift up our children, it's not a reason for embarrassment. It's not a reason to pause. Instead, it's a reason to act with urgency, to connect with us individually so that we can provide the support that our kids need and, quite frankly, that our kids deserve. It's your turn now, my friend. We don't, even if you're late, we don't limit you to questions. You can ask as many questions as you like. We'll come back to you one more time, but you need to be ready when I come back now.
I just wanted to ask if we
I'm just kidding. I know you don't know me that well. I don't see you a lot.
could we just clarify the current policy with naming facilities in the district and the suggestion from last night's meeting. What would change under that suggestion?
So FF has been on the board agenda for some time now, and there seems to be varying thoughts among trustees about whether facilities should be named for persons in general. So the way the current policy reads after the first reading is that facilities won't be named for persons living or deceased. Again, there are varying opinions on the board about that. I would want board members to speak more publicly about their own thoughts and feelings about that. It's a great question. But the current policy reads as that if a facility was to be named currently, which it would need a second reading, it would not be named for a person living or deceased. The vote last night was to send that back to the policy committee. Ms. Hampton and Ms. Thompson in our legal office leads that work with support from other chief level officers. And so we do anticipate that the policy liaison, Mr. Hollenshed, will bring that back to their attention and perhaps will engage with other trustees between now and the second reading. Thank you.
I'm good.
I didn't mean to scare you. You sure you don't have another question? Well, again, I can't thank you all enough for being engaged in this process throughout the year. Oh, do you have any
No,
more?
I'm good.
Okay. I mean, we hope it's provided for you a level of transparency to which we're really committed. Our schools are in full swing right now as they prepare for testing, and so we did it centrally here, but I think one of our upcoming ones is at the Early College High School, where we'll talk more about capital facilities and capital maintenance and management as we ready ourselves for summertime and getting things geared back up for the 25-26 school year. So thanks for being here.